You can have friends, messages on your phone, people sitting right next to you, and still feel completely alone, and sometimes being around people can even make the loneliness feel worse. The strange part is that this often has very little to do with how many people you know, because in the next few minutes you'll understand why you can feel disconnected even when you're surrounded by others, why some relationships leave you feeling emptier instead of closer, and what actually creates the feeling of connection your brain is looking for. Loneliness is not simply the absence of people, it is the absence of meaningful connection. You can talk to people every day, laugh with coworkers, spend time with friends, answer messages, and still feel as if nobody really knows you. From the outside your social life may look completely normal and you might even seem outgoing, but internally there can be a strange distance between you and everyone around you, and one of the biggest reasons this happens is that you are physically present while emotionally holding yourself back. Maybe you have learned how to become the version of yourself that works best around other people, so you know when to smile, what subjects to avoid, how to keep conversations comfortable, and how to hide the parts of yourself that might seem strange, insecure, emotional, or difficult. Most of the time you are not consciously lying, you are simply editing yourself, saying that you are fine because explaining what is actually happening feels exhausting, laughing because everyone else is laughing, agreeing because disagreement feels uncomfortable, and avoiding subjects that actually matter to you because you already expect the other person not to understand. After enough time this becomes automatic, and people may genuinely like you while part of you still wonders whether they would like the real version of you. That creates a very specific kind of loneliness because you are not alone because nobody is around, you are alone because the person people are interacting with does not always feel completely like you, which is why you can spend several hours socializing and somehow feel even lonelier when you get home. You were talking the entire time, but you never really felt seen, and feeling seen is one of the most important parts of emotional connection. Think about the conversations you have during an average week and how many of them actually go beyond work, plans, entertainment, gossip, problems that need solving, or simple updates about what happened during the day. There is nothing wrong with those conversations because most human interaction naturally happens on the surface, but the problem begins when every relationship stays there. You can know what someone does for work, what shows they watch, where they went last weekend, and what they ordered for dinner without knowing what they are afraid of, what they regret, what they secretly want, or what they think about when nobody else is around, and they may know just as little about those parts of you. Humans need more than conversation, we need emotional recognition, we want moments where we can say what we actually think without immediately calculating how another person will react, we want someone to notice when something feels different, and we want to admit that we are struggling without feeling like we have ruined the mood. When those moments are missing, relationships can begin to feel strangely empty even if you spend a lot of time together. Another reason you may feel lonely around people is that you simply do not feel like you belong with them, and this can be difficult to admit when those people are friends, coworkers, or family. You may care about them and they may care about you, so nobody has to be a bad person for emotional compatibility to be missing. Maybe the things you care deeply about do not interest the people around you, maybe you want deeper conversations while everyone else prefers jokes and small talk, maybe your goals have changed, or maybe you have grown in one direction while the people around you still expect the version of you they met years ago. Sometimes loneliness appears when your environment no longer matches who you are becoming, but instead of recognizing that you start blaming yourself and thinking that because you have friends you should not feel lonely, or because other people have it worse you should simply be grateful. The problem is that gratitude and loneliness can exist at the same time, so you can appreciate the people in your life while still recognizing that something important is missing. Another common reason is extreme self-reliance, because some people become so good at handling everything alone that nobody knows when they need support. Maybe at some point you learned that asking for help leads to disappointment, maybe people did not listen when you tried to explain yourself, maybe you were told that you were too sensitive or too dramatic, or maybe you simply learned that independence gets rewarded, so when something goes wrong you deal with it yourself, when you are upset you disappear for a while, when you need reassurance you convince yourself that you should not need it. And when someone asks if you are okay you automatically say yes. Eventually people begin to believe you, so they assume you are fine because you always look fine, they assume you do not need much because you rarely ask for anything, and they may even see you as the reliable person who always has everything under control. Then one day you look around and wonder why nobody supports you, while the reality may simply be that almost nobody knows you need support. Independence itself is not the problem, but it becomes a problem when it turns into a wall that prevents anyone from getting close. Connection requires vulnerability because allowing another person to matter always involves risk. If someone truly knows you, they can reject you. If you tell them what you are afraid of, they might judge you. If you admit that you care about them, they might not care as much, and if you let them become important, they might eventually leave. So your brain often chooses what feels safer, staying close enough to avoid feeling completely alone while remaining distant enough that nobody can hurt you too deeply. The problem is that this strategy protects you while also creating the exact loneliness you were trying to avoid. You may want someone to ask how you are doing, but when they do, you say you are good. You want someone to understand you, but you rarely explain what you are actually feeling. You want deeper friendships, but when a conversation becomes personal, you make a joke and change the subject. And you want people to get closer, but the moment someone does, you start feeling uncomfortable. This creates a contradiction where you want intimacy, but intimacy feels dangerous, and you want to be understood while being fully seen feels threatening. Modern life can make this even more confusing because we have more ways to communicate than ever before. You can wake up and immediately see what hundreds of people are doing, receive messages, watch stories, send memes, join group chats, comment on posts, and spend hours interacting with other people without having one conversation that makes you feel genuinely connected. Digital communication is not automatically shallow, and some of the strongest relationships can exist online, but constant communication can create the illusion that your need for connection is already being fulfilled. Your phone may be full of people while you still feel lonely because being noticed is not the same as being known. A notification gives you attention for a moment but does not necessarily give you understanding, and social media makes this even harder through comparison because you see groups of friends laughing together, couples traveling, people celebrating birthdays, dinners, vacations, parties, and inside jokes, so everyone seems connected while your own relationships may suddenly feel empty. The problem is that you are comparing your complete emotional experience with selected moments from someone else's life. You do not see the awkward silence before the photo, the argument afterward, or the person in that group who also went home feeling lonely, so the image may be real but it is incomplete. Another major part of loneliness is self-consciousness. Sometimes you are around people, but instead of simply being part of the interaction, you are constantly watching yourself and wondering whether you are talking too much, whether your joke sounded stupid, whether people actually want you there, why someone reacted a certain way, whether you should say something, whether you are too quiet, or whether everyone secretly thinks you are boring. When your brain is constantly monitoring how you are being perceived, it becomes difficult to connect naturally because your attention is divided between experiencing the conversation and evaluating your own performance. Afterward, you may replay the interaction in your head looking for mistakes, which makes social situations exhausting because you are not simply talking to people, you are performing and judging yourself at the same time. Eventually, being alone starts to feel easier, but then being alone creates loneliness, so you go back around people, feel disconnected again, and repeat the same cycle. This is why the solution to loneliness is not always going out more, because for some people forcing themselves into more social situations simply creates more opportunities to feel disconnected. What matters is not how many people you interact with, but whether there are moments when you can stop performing. One honest conversation can sometimes do more for loneliness than an entire weekend surrounded by people, and one person who understands something important about you can feel more meaningful than 50 acquaintances. That does not mean you need to immediately tell someone every secret you have, because real connection is usually built gradually. You can start by saying what you actually think instead of choosing the safest answer, admitting that something has been difficult instead of automatically saying everything is fine, asking a question that is slightly more meaningful than usual, telling someone that you appreciate them, asking for help with something small, or allowing yourself to be imperfect without immediately trying to repair the impression you made. Then pay attention to what happens, because some people will not respond the way you hoped, and that can hurt, but it also gives you useful information since not everyone is capable of giving you the type of connection you need. Other people may surprise you, they may admit that they feel the same way, tell you something they have never said before, or become more honest because you became more honest first, and suddenly a relationship that always felt superficial begins to feel real. Many people are secretly waiting for permission to stop pretending, because they are also saying that they are fine when they are not, they are also afraid of being judged, and they are also wondering whether anyone actually understands them, so someone usually has to go first. If you feel lonely even around people, Do not immediately assume that you need more friends, more plans, more messages, or more people around you. Instead, ask yourself how often you actually feel like yourself around the people in your life. How many people know what you think about when nobody else is around, whether you allow anyone to see when something hurts, and whether you let people get closer when they try or automatically create distance. Sometimes loneliness is not telling you that nobody cares about you, sometimes it is telling you that somewhere between being accepted, staying safe, and trying not to be judged, you stopped allowing yourself to be fully known, because the opposite of loneliness is not simply having people around you, it is having at least one place where you no longer feel like you have to hide.